Okay, welcome to the podcast. We have not done one of these for a little while. I have with me Douglas P. Chapman, and that P is for Paul or Philip
All is
or
correct.
Phoenicius. Uh, Phineas, that's the word. That's the one I was thinking of. Paul, like in the Bible.
Right. Indeed.
Right. So, speaking of Paul in the Bible, Paul not in the Bible should be joining us a little bit later here. And we're going to talk today about a couple things. We're going to talk about Blade Show coming up. And Blade Show is always an adventure. So, we meant to do last year a wrap on Blade Show 2025. And so we're just, roughly 12, 11 months late on that. We're 11 months late on that. But we definitely wanted to get that wrapped. But I think it's kind of interesting, though, as you think back to the previous Blade Show and look forward to the next one and what might be there. I'm excited for this next one. And we have the biggest crew ever. Last year, we had three people: Doug, Paul, myself. But this year, we add my son, Everett, who is not into knives. Not much into knives. And he's at college in Tennessee. In fact, tomorrow morning I have to leave to go get him, and so that's 800 miles from here. And I'm taking the truck. I thought about taking the Tesla, but I got to take all his stuff back, so it's going to be the truck at $4 a gallon. I am not excited about that. But so, Doug, what
Yeah.
what memory stands out in your mind about Blade Show in terms of last year's Blade Show? And I know they start to all run together in your head, but what do you remember about last year's Blade Show? What was the vibe and the feel of it to you, for you?
Uh, it felt like it might have been a little less attended than a couple of the years prior. And the folks who were there for very specific reasons. They were literally sometimes running to the vendor that they were trying to reach. That is not uncommon, but it seemed a little more common this time for me.
How come we're never that vendor?
Because I don't think you want to be that vendor. You want to do your normal business online and enjoy getting to visit with customers at the show. And, there are learning opportunities at the show that you take advantage of as well. The various presentations that Laren and um, Bob Kramer last year. I don't know what you've signed up for this year, but it's
I
much
haven't signed up
more
for anything
social.
yet. I
Oh,
I want to. I better look. That reminds me that I should. Um, Yeah, those classes are of varying interest, but yeah, Bob Kramer did do one. Laren, I did a couple with Laren, and it's always interesting. What's as interesting as the class are the other people that are in the class. So, like, there's generally pretty famous people in the knife world in the class.
right.
Yeah, it Blade Show is not the big sales boon for me. I think for Creely Blades in particular, I have a particular type of customer, and those people are there, but not in the numbers as much as other people. And a lot of my stuff is usually to some degree or other available online. But I'm excited for this year because it's Magnamax. Magnamax is going to be the thing of the year. Laren just put out a kind of silly video. I
Retro. Yes, retro
Yes,
themed.
retro video. In fact, I should really, to be a good podcast host, I should really pull that video up, and we should watch it at some point uh, during this podcast. But
Okay.
it's funny. But the thing with Magna Max, much like Magna Cut, we were really early to the party with Magna Cut. And I remember being at Blade Show and bringing these Magna Cut blades and thinking people are going to be running to our table for Magna Cut. And that was not even sort of the case. I'd be like, I was really excited about it. I knew about it, and I would ask people, hey, like, what's with have you heard about Magna Cut? Do you know what this is? Do you know uh, anything about it? And just people didn't know anything about it. And as excited as I was about it, and ultimately how popular it got, um, the following year, it was, everybody wanted Magna Cut, but a lot more people had Magna Cut also at that point. So it officially releases on the 1st of May, which is coming up. And so you're going to see a lot of your manufacturers with it, but uh, I don't think it's going to be super common at tables by then. Even I'd imagine Spyderco might have some. I imagine Benchmade might have some. I imagine Chris Reeve might have some. ProTech, possibly. Those guys could have some. We will have some. Although, interestingly enough, I think I will have Mako's in Magnamax, but it's cutting it close. We're just going to probably, maybe, hopefully have them for Blade Show. But we will have other stuff like 8-inch chef's knives, omnivores, hunting knives, and
Minnows.
minnow.
Hopefully.
Maybe we're almost out. We're almost out
Okay.
of Max minnows. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing that happened with Magna Cut. When you first got that, it was a little bit ahead of the curve, and so therefore we did not have the general populace up to speed on that particular steel. The second Blade Show, it did better, so we did it again with Magnamax.
Yeah, and I think I think this time through we're going to have sorry about that. We're going to have more people that know who Laren Thomas is. We're going to have more people who already know what Magna Cut is. Then we're going to have people that are like, oh, so that's like Magna Cut but better. Okay, yes, it's better because I think Magna Max is what everybody thinks Magna Cut was. Magna Max is S90V edge retention. Magna Cut is barely S30V edge retention. So it's a big jump up. But unlike S90V, you're going to have considerably more toughness and maybe even a little better corrosion resistance with Magna Max. So I think, I think what in the average knife buyer's mind is, not everybody's a steel nerd and all that sort of thing. So I think that they are going to have a better sense of what's going on with Magna Max than they did. Magna Cut was Laren who? Laren what? Magna what? So, yeah, that's my hope. That's my hope.
That'd be good.
So we got and Doug is super excited about this, I know. We got a Airbnb it's about 35 minutes from the convention. So that's a little bit of a pain, 35, 40. Doug's very worried about this commute. And the other thing is because it's an Airbnb, we're going to be like cooking all our own food. Well, most of it, at least while we're at the show. I'm kind of excited for that. I think it'll be good just to, cook up some food, have some leftovers. And one of the things about Blade Show itself is you barely have any time to eat. Like the day just flies. For me, what the difficult thing is to stick around my table. And I really want to stick around the table and I really want to meet people. But I really want to go around to see what's at the show. So it's always hard for me. It's always hard for me to do that. But what I'm going to try to do, so this could be like an official announcement. What I'm going to try to do is I am going to try to be at the show. I mean, I'll be at the show, but be at my table between 11 and 1. Like, that is on almost every knife show. Those are the witching hours between 11 and 1. That's the time, that's the time I really think that's when we sell the most knives. That's when the most people seem to be at the show. It's just sort of the magic golden 2 hours. So now we're using a service here, and there should be a chat. And I don't know if anybody's put anything into the chat. We only have 3 viewing right now, but can one of you 3 who is viewing put something in a chat? I just want to see if it comes through. I should be seeing all the chat stuff, but if you have a comment or a question or just want to say hi, shoot it in the chat. I'm just curious if the chat's working. Oh, hey, there we go. Yes, sir. That's from YouTube. So we're at least live on YouTube. Good to see you, Reed. Where are you listening at, Reed? Where's my mouse? There it is. Oh, and another one. Good. Where are you listening from? Where on this planet are you? In Pennsylvania? Alabama? California? United Arab Emirates? Michigan. Cool. Good to have you. Good to have you. So, anybody wants that has a question what we're talking about, please feel free.
Hey, and then Alutsu joined the chat.
Oh, he did. Look at that.
Awesome.
Okay. So we haven't done this way before, where we went live. So I'm just curious. We'll get views after the fact, but yeah. But as we, that's a that's a Romanian spelling of how they say how hello sounds in Romanian. Alo. So we're going to leave. So this is our plan, how we do it. We're in Pennsylvania. It's about 800 miles to Atlanta. We will leave at in the morning on Wednesday. Probably do 9 of the hours on that day, 9 or 10 of the hours on that day. Get up, set up on Thursday. And Blade Show is a knife show like no other. It's much more of an undertaking. Even like Texas, Blade Show Texas is a pretty big show too. Nothing like this. This is this is game on. So, do you have any knives that you want to get at Blade Show, Doug?
There are always things that would be super fun. I love to stop by the Spyderco booth, near and dear to my heart. There are a number of other smaller makers like Big Chris. I would love to get to visit with he and Dr. Big Chris, Dr. Mrs. Big Chris. They are lots of fun to visit with, and I've been trying to. I have one of his knives, but it's an older one in 154 cm, and I would love something in a more current steel. One of his patterns in particular, I forget what the name of it is, but that would be excellent. I'm looking forward to getting to share some of the current designs from Creely Blades. I think that'll be fun. A lot of folks will.
With Spyderco?
In general, with anyone.
Yeah. It'll be fun. We have some new designs. And I actually have a knife cam. So should we check out the knife cam?
Oh, well.
We
now
have
I
a
don't
knife
know
cam.
what we're in for.
Yep, it's the knife cam. Let me see how this works here. Boom. Come on. All right. Focus. Okay, there we go. This is the knife cam. And
This must be in your shop.
No, this is upstairs in Creely Blades upstairs International Deliverance Ministry Center. So we
AKA
got
the laser room.
this is
One of the
actually
laser rooms.
yes, the laser room. This is one of the new acquisitions that I got. This is a Techno Spyderco Techno.
2?
I don't know.
I suspect it is.
I think it's a 2. But this is fat carbon.
Nice.
And the blade steel is...
Looks like M390, but...
LMAX.
Oh, LMAX. Okay.
LMAX. Pretty cool. You know, these sprint runs of Spydercos, they just seem like they're a little bit better.
That is a nice polish, like a tumble polish.
Yeah. It was like that on the PM2 I got, too. That was a sort of a special. Like this.
That's neat.
So this is cool. Of course, this is from one of my dealers, so I trade for knives because this is actually not a bad. This is an exclusive with Freight and Lock in Syracuse, New York, and they have these for sale for $300. And that's I believe that is also what regular Techno goes for. So this is. I don't know that the regular Techno has this steel, and I know, and I think it's just usually just plain titanium on that side. So yeah, wire clip, relative. I call that deep carry, I think. Yeah. Now, on another front, a new Creely Blades model, the JRE sheaths came in. These are great. I'm
nice.
really happy with these and how they fit. We will do Kydex. I'm sure we'll get some Kydex for these too. But for now, and for Blade Show, they will be, and that's the medium.
In the leathers. Okay. That's the medium in Magnamax.
No, this is the medium in 8670.
8670. Okay. So super carbon, super toughness.
High toughness, not high anything else. So
do you coat that with anything?
No.
No.
WD-40. Does that count?
WD-40. Oh, that's something.
So that's this one.
That's the flat ground, isn't it?
No, that's the Saber.
That's the Saber. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Saber. And this just has a V edge. So the V, it's flat ground Saber with a V edge. And this is G10 scales. They'll have. I think they're all going to have G10 scales, but I did do some 3D printed scales, just because I wanted to throw. And this one I did a convex grind towards the edge, but a flat grind that turns into a convex grind. Same steel.
Okay.
Whoop! Did my camera freeze?
It did.
How about that? Oh. Well, be that way. I wonder why I did that. I'll tap it. Hey, that worked a little.
It did.
Hey, it's back.
There you go.
There we go. That's strange. Yeah, 3D printed scales. They look great, to be honest with you. I think so anyway. But yeah, just a different grind. So this flat grind has a little less steel because it's ground a little thinner, and the scales are they're solid, but they're carbon fiber PET G. The weight difference is substantial. Yeah, the weight difference is substantial. So
by saying that, which one has more weight? Because the listeners at home are not sure without us telling them.
Yeah, the G10 is much heavier.
Okay.
I also changed the size of the logo. In my opinion, it's hard to see. I'm trying to get an angle on there that you can see it. But the logo on this one is a lot bigger. Let's see here. There we go. Almost. So you get the sense of the size of it versus this logo here.
That's a little smaller.
Yeah, it's a little smaller. It looks a little more, and also the blade steel writing is a little smaller too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the two new models coming up. I think I see a Paul backstage. Let's bring him up. Come back over to my regular seat. Technical. There we go. There's the Apostle Paul.
All right. I'm having some technical issues on my end, but can you hear me?
What?
Thanks.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
That's interesting.
Oh.
I cannot hear Paul.
So much for AirPods.
Interesting. You
I
can't hear
see
Paul?
him speaking, but I could not hear him.
I heard him. Yep, there he is. Now I can't. He's gone.
I see.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. And a little bit of echo, but not too bad. All right, you'll take them all.
I just put in headphones. Yep.
I'm hoping to have some of these at the leather sheath at Blade Show. Now, the other thing with that model and the new steel is going to be 3V with what I'm calling, get this, a gamma heat treat. Gamma heat treat. Not to be mistaken for a delta heat treat, because somebody already did delta. What we are doing is 3V gamma, and it is different. It's different because I'm hoping to get it to about 63 or 64 Rockwell, which is not where most people run 3V. But I think 3V at that hardness is going to be awesome. And so, and I'm calling it gamma because it's another Greek letter. It's the third letter in the Greek alphabet, like C for Creely. So there you have it. There's the connection. It all comes full circle. Hey, I'm still on that knife cam. Let me go to my regular camera here.
Wouldn't gamma be more of a G for Gary?
It could be a G for Gary, but it's the third letter where C should be.
Oh, okay.
If it were.
Well, we appear to have lost studio at the moment. Can you hear me, Paul?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Howdy.
I cannot hear you. Oh, okay.
There we are. So, I do have a couple of what I think are cool things in the knife world. Two of my most recent purchases, which I'm getting away from Blade Show, but we'll get back to that. Two of my recent purchases, I'm going to show you here. Okay. This is the coolest thing ever. So, firstly, a little bit of background. When I was a little kid, I thought buck knives were the bee's knees when it came to cutlery, fine cutlery. I thought they were the apex of cutlery. Buck makes a good, but they make some also not as good knives as well, like some of the Chinese ones. But this is a knife I wasn't super familiar with. And so you can buy this custom. So I'll show you how I bought mine. And it was a little bit expensive. So I got the Magna Cut blade. Now that right there is $100 upgrade. But I want you to notice something here. Did you notice what happened when you go from, and I know this will be audio only, so I'll explain it. But when you go from the H20 HC to the Magna Cut, do you see what happens to that blade? See the difference?
I see a full flat grind.
You go from a saber hollow grind to a full flat grind when you go to Magna Cut. And you go to $125 extra But this is a really big knife. This is a 6-inch blade. I don't know what it is overall, 14 inches overall or something. So that's a big piece of MagnaCut. Additionally, it is full tang, and you can't see it on this picture, but all right. So I went with the aluminum. You could go with brass for an extra $50. That's black linen micarta. I went with burgundy micarta, which was an extra $25. I don't get that. Burgundy is not more expensive than black, but anyway, comes with the sheath, and you can get it custom engraved. But yeah, this thing is cool. Just the specifications on it. So MagnaCut, they say they're running it. I think they said they were running it at like 64 or 63, which the truth is I'm probably not going to use this. 6 1/4-inch blade. Doesn't give you, it's 178 blade stock. That's like, so a piece of MagnaCut that thick and that long is just the raw steel is probably $80. So the fact that they charge you 125, that's actually a fair deal. So anyway, that's the latest thing I got. $375. Don't tell my wife; she doesn't watch this, so we're safe. And then here's my other knife.
Nalutsu is in the house.
Oh no, he won't tell. I know where he lives. He lives in a teepee in Arizona. But so Benchmade. Now, as we all know, the butterfly tax, as they call it, has gotten out of hand. But there is a pretty cool hack here, or I think it's a pretty cool hack. We're going to go to custom here, right? And we're going to go to the Griptilian, right? There's a Griptilian, partially serrated. Ugh. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to customize the Griptilian. And now you see it's at $200 at the moment. See that says buy now, $200. So let's go here. We see where it says blade. Let's go to blade. And now let's select, go to steel. So right now it's in, I don't know, S30V. But if we go here to D2, now see our price up here? It says buy now 200. You might not see that. D2, boom. 125. Nice. Now let's go to shape. Let's get rid of that ridiculous serration. Oh, man. I feel much better.
Why don't you get rid of the ridiculous thumb stud too?
I'm not sure that is an option. And you wouldn't be able to open it. Bottom center. Oh, with the circle. But then you got to get the sheep's foot. All right, we'll do that. That's how Doug likes it. That's how we'll do it. Boom. We'll get the Spyderco-esque, because Spyderco patented the circle apparently. All right, so
trademarked
the circle. Excuse me. So I got the blue just like that, although I didn't get that handle. The other thing you can customize. Now you see that is not a deep carry clip, and I don't particularly like that clip. So let's go. Whoa, hey, okay. Let's change that clip to a deep carry. Well, look, you can even do a blue clip. I did black. Yeah, that clashes. We can't do that. This one. There we go. Look at that. That's about what I got. D2 is A-okay for this knife. You know, I think it's A-okay. It's not Chinese D2. It's American D2. So, all right, there's the knife. $125. Where are you going to get a customized Griptilian for $125? That is your knife deal of the day. It's just phenomenal. You'd never find it. It is not obvious. If we go back to let's go back to the blade here. Let's go back to the steel. You can see it now, but it comes default. What steel is it default? I think it defaults to S30V. Let's go. Yeah, see, on S30V, it says plus 75. It just doesn't make it clear that if you pick this out, it's minus 75. Just the way it's laid out. That should say, when that's selected, that should say plus 0, and this should say minus 75. But anyway, 125 for a Griptilian that you can customize in a lot of different colors. And they really do have a lot of, colors, some that aren't for me, but some people really like these sorts of colors. And this is a pretty cool tool online. The white. And some of these are colors that you don't generally see them in. So, yeah. Anyway, it's Grivery. Isn't that just a form of like FRN?
It's similar, but slightly different chemical makeup.
Yeah. So anyway, that is my deal of the day online to get a Benchmade that I think is absolutely a totally fair price. So that's that. So Paul, we were talking about going to Blade Show and what knives we want to get, and Doug said he wanted to talk to Spyderco and see what they have.
Sorry, I lost audio for a minute, so I'm not sure what you said if you were asking me questions.
No, this one was for Paul.
Okay, go, Paul.
Yeah, there are a couple things I'm interested in. There's definitely an echo right now. Do you guys hear
you, Doug?
Let's see.
There
it is go. Doug.
It was Doug, Echo Master.
Yeah, there are a couple things I'm interested in from Spyderco right now. One would be this kind of teased 15V Paramilitary 2 lightweight. I'm not sure if they'll have those or not, but that is something I would definitely buy. I also am interested in the lightweight Shaman, which I did not think I would like until I got to test out yours, Gary. I have the G10 Shaman, which I like, but it is a little heavy. The lightweight does make a noticeable difference. My Spyderco purchase last year was the Bodacious, which is actually what I'm carrying right now. Fun fact, this just got to open 4 sheets of MagnaCut yesterday for the laser. That's what the scratches and tape on it are from. So I really like the Bodacious, I really like the Shaman, and I really like the Paramilitary too. So depending on other steels or other options for those 3 models, I would definitely be down to jump on one of those. Yeah. So that's what I would like to see at Spyderco.
What would you get at Blade Show, though, in general? Anything else?
Yeah. Other than Spyderco?
Other than Spyderco. It wasn't limited. Only Doug is limited to Spyderco. The rest of us can get anything else we want.
There are a few things I'm interested in. Last year at Blade was when I got my first TRM. I got the TRM Neutron 2. And that is not here because it needs to be sharpened right now. But I really like that. And then I bought the Nerd off of Gary. So I like that too. So I'd be interested in the Shadow or the Bulldog. They're both TRM knives that I'm interested in. I'm not sure price-wise. I mean, some of their titanium stuff coming out is pretty cool, but it might be a little higher than I want to pay for that knife, like the titanium Neutron 2 that has come out.
They're phenomenal, but they are expensive.
Yeah, so there's that. I'm not entirely sure what else I really want other than just getting to look at some customs and handle a few things. Like you, Gary, I was interested in some kitchen knives. I'm not sure I don't have a set maker in mind, but last year I got to check out some of Kyle Daly's knives, Dan Eastland's knives. I like both of those. So Dogwood Custom Knives. Also the Joy of Cooking knife that Dan Eastland did as a collaboration with Ethan Becker. They had that at Blade last year. So if they still have those, I did not buy one last year at Blade, and I kind of regretted it. But mostly it's because I ran out of money.
How much is a Joy of Cooking knife?
They were not that expensive because it's a semi-production knife. I think they were right around the 200 mark, but I could be wrong on that. So not high end for what we're talking. Similar price to a Benchmade or a Spyderco. I'm interested in checking out some of Bradford's new stuff. They had some kitchen knives last year that I was interested in, particularly one that was like in the paring knife. I don't know if you'd call it a large paring knife or a small utility knife. And the name is going out of my head right now. It was a name. It's called like the Goodwin or something like that. I handled it, but I didn't buy it again because I ran out of money. I did find some of Bradford's designs that look really cool to me don't always fit my hand quite right. So I almost bought a Guardian, and then I got to go to Smoky Mountain and actually put a few in my hand, and they just they didn't quite fit my hand right, but this other one did. So it's kind of a kitchen knife, but it also comes with a Kydex sheath, so you can carry it or use it as a kitchen knife. But honestly, the thing that I'm probably most interested in this year is getting a big boy grinder. So as much as I
have
love
a double wheel one for sale that might be of interest to you.
Yeah, that is for sale, and it is amazing and also heavy.
It is heavy. It is heavy.
But
can't wait to put it in the truck.
I'm very interested in an AMK horizontal grinder, or maybe an Ameribraid vertical or horizontal. I don't know. I hear a friend of mine might have some motors for sale. I don't know about that either, but
I definitely got some motors for sale.
I don't know if you've mentioned that story on the podcast yet, but
no, not on the podcast. I did mention it on another live, but
yeah.
So there's a particular kind of motor that most of these grinders use. It's a 3-phase NEMA, often has a C56 plate, which is a particular mounting plate. And all of a sudden, these things are like $1,000 for these motors new. But the cool thing about them is you can find them used for less. So I bought one used. It was brand new in the box, $175 for 2 horse. 1.5 is adequate also. I bought another 1.5 for $100. And then I saw another 1.5. These are Baldor US motors, like they're $1,000 new. E-Saver or whatever it is, Super E. And they were $50. It was $50. And I was like, oh, that's a great deal. I'm going to go buy that. I had to drive like an hour and a half to get it, but I was like, yeah, I'll pick that up. And they're like, oh, do you just want one? And I'm like, well, how many do you have? They're like 6. And I'm like, I'll take them all. So then I got 8 motors. I did sell one motor to a guy at the knife show. So now I'm down to 7. But yeah, I went a little cray-cray. The VFDs, the thing that control the speed, those are still expensive, and you don't find those cheap used. So that one, and they're like $600 now. They used to be like $400. Now they're like $600. Everything's more expensive since COVID. But yeah, kind of crazy. I was thinking about getting a chef's knife at Blade Show, but then I realized I like my own chef knife because I designed it around what I like. And so it's just like, it's just like, heck with it. I'm just bringing my own chef's knives, and I'm going to buy folders like from Spyderco or something. I would like a lightweight PM2. They're a little hard to come by yet. I'd like maybe some different for if Hogue is there. I'd like a few maybe another version of their Misto. That thing's pretty cool and a great value. Yeah. So, and I might buy a grinder while I'm there too to go with one of my motors. We'll see. Sometimes Ameribraid has sales and stuff like that. And so if they have something that strikes my fancy, or I really want to, ideally, if you're buying multiple grinders, it really makes sense to buy all the same grinder. Says a guy who's bought 5 different grinders. I speak from experience, do as I say, not as I've done. So, yeah, because then the tooling arms all work. And of the 5 grinders, there's 3 different size tooling arms. There's like 2-inch. That's, I think the Ameribraid's 2-inch. Then there's 1.5 inch, like KMG and whatnot. I think they're 1.5 inch. Then Bader style ones. My first grinder was a Bader style, and I think that's 1 1.25. I forget. But anyway, all that to say, get the same one with the same tooling arms so you can interchange stuff if you're going to buy multiple grinders. But there's not a lot of guys buying multiple grinders. I think that's not super common if you're not making a lot of knives. I like the Ameribraid. There are a lot of good grinders out there. A lot of people like the Broadbeck. There's this other brand, Taurus. I know a guy that got a Taurus. I never even heard of that. To me, that was a mid-sized car from the 90s. But Taurus is a brand of grinder also. So, yeah, cool stuff. The other thing I wanted to talk about here a little bit tonight, and it's Bark River. And, you know, a lot of people had a lot to say about Bark River. And a lot of those people, the first ones on the bandwagon were sort of the knife tubers. Every knife tuber made a video, and some knife tubers that weren't even too popular made a lot of videos and got a lot of views. And so those guys were first on board. A lot of comments in the comment sections of different things talked about how they stole from us, and they did to a degree. I'm not denying that, but as a knife maker and knife company owner trying to grow a knife company, I look at the Bark River story and the Bark River situation in a little different light, in the sense of now they touted that they were making 40,000 knives a year. I've even heard as high as 60. You know how different people would do shop tours of Bark River, and they would mention how many knives they made in that. And I I think that's a lot of knives. I think that's a lot of knives. And I think Bark River's knives were priced right. They could have been a little more, a little less, whatever. But I think by and large that they were priced right, like for what they were. And I know what it costs to make knives pretty well. And with, they had a pretty good size operation up there. I will say, looking through their shop, they didn't have a lot of expensive equipment. I mean, it was grinders, and they don't think they had a water jet. I don't think they had a laser cutter. I think they had like maybe one CNC machine, which for 40,000 knives a year is not a lot.
Well, part of that question is how much of that shop equipment was being used by Bark River, and how much of that equipment was there to make it look like they were making knives when really they were, getting other people to OEM their stuff, basically. I don't know that Bark River was making knives. I think they were putting handles on knives. And I think Mike Stewart was a good, I might have some not nice things to say about Mike Stewart, but one nice thing I will say, I think he had a good eye for design, right? In the very least, I got to give him that. He designed some really nice knives. So I will, give credit where credit is due there. But I think it's a good cautionary tale. We've seen we'll say in the last 20 years, right? we could probably name at least a half a dozen knife companies that seem to have a lot of potential. Somebody with some great ideas, or a knife maker with some really good talent that turned into a flash in the pan because they couldn't handle the business side of it. Either they got upside down with credit, or they did some shady things and tried to pass it off as something else. So just some common sense stuff, like don't overextend yourself with credit, because then you put pressure on yourself to do things that aren't ethical. And be honest with your customer. Like, I guess this is my plug for Creely Blades, but like, you can very easily know what was done by whom on a Creely Blades knife, right? Like, it's no secret that, like, if you want a fully one-off custom, it's going to cost a lot more than something else. So we have the custom series, we have the PG series, and you know exactly what you're getting. This is the steel, these are the handles, this is where it was made, this is who it was designed by, this is the Rockwell hardness of the steel, and it's just trying to be honest. Like, don't hide that stuff.
You know, for the most part, I think Bark River was honest about how they were making their knives, if you asked. Like, I don't think they broadcasted it, but they were cut, they were heat treated out of shop, they were burger grinder made. And so I don't think they were covering that up. And then, after they came in with being burger ground, they used what's called a slack belt, which is like no backing. There's no platen behind the belt. If you push, it's what they call a slack belt, and it's very forgiving. The slack belt's very forgiving. And so they would kind of resurface the blade with the slack belt and make that finish that zero convex off on the slack belt. Now, one of the irritations, and I think at different times I had gotten into some online tangles with Mike Stewart, but I think one of them was this idea that a convex grind is the superior grind. A convex grind is the grind that you want. And it's just simply, it's good for some things, but it's not good for a lot of other things. But it just so happens that's the way you make knives, and that's the only good grind. So,
well, it's good for one thing. It's a grind that's not that easy to do on a machine. And so it's good for making it look like a knife is handmade. But I think you're doing the knife equivalent of buying a pie from the grocery store and slipping it into your own dish on the way to the barbecue and saying that you baked it. The Scandi Vex that they're famous for is really taking a precision burger ground knife and smearing some of those angles so that it looks like it's hand ground. I think I know for
you didn't try
understand,
to hide it.
Well, I think for the general consumer, if you would have seen a box of knives coming into Bark River that were already hard, that were already ground, that already had bevels, and that was what was arriving at the Bark River shop, I think most people would have been surprised by that.
Some may have been, but in fairness to them, I don't think they hid that. I don't think they broadcast it, but like they would have the grind-ins and everybody would see how they made knives, and people toured the shop and saw that that's what they were doing. I think you're right in the sense that I don't know that a lot of people put that together. But yeah, so that whole part of knife making, heat treating, grinding, like the predominant part of the grinding, also double disking it to thickness, surfacing it, that all happened outside of their shop. So they pretty much had a mostly finished knife blade that came in and then finished that off. Well, put the handles on or whatever their order of operation was. The funny thing is that whole handle bit is pretty hot. Is labor intensive. Like, that's not the easy part of making a knife. It kind of is. It requires less skill, but it's still tedious and it's a fair amount of work. But here's the thing about the whole Bark River thing. So they were employing like 50 people up there who all of a sudden didn't have a job. And that's an area of Michigan that I do not think is super, wealthy. So in that little community, that was probably an economic engine of sorts. So, there's the human story to it. And for as much as Mike Stewart himself was a polarizing, certainly ethically dubious dude, Bark River filled a particular niche and made a particular style of knife that not a ton of other people were or are making. And that's one of the reasons I'm thinking about offering the medium in a convex grind. Not because convex is the best grind ever, but this is a blade that if it's used in a certain way, a convex grind could make some sense for it, some sense to it. And the funny thing is, as much as they made of these Chinese knives, the thing with the Chinese knives was because he said they tested them, this was very, very, very premeditated that they used the Chinese knives. We know before with Cedric Inada and even DBK that there were instances where they had labeled steel incorrectly. And so there was plausible deniability with that in those instances, but there's not plausible deniability when you said you were testing the fake steel to make sure it was similar. Like that sort of removes all, question that this was intentional. And and there's all these rumors and whatnot about what had been going on there. And, that's all hearsay and whatnot. But I'm sad to see them go. I bought I have a couple Bark Rivers. Did I put my other one back? Yeah, I think I put my other one back. I'm sad to see them go. Most of their knives were not for me. But that was a particular area. Now the question is, moving forward, will the Bark Rivers that exist still, both in the used market and the new stock that's left, will it increase in value? Will it decrease in value? What will happen with those knives in the future?
Well, let me ask a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but think about like Survive knives, right? What's the secondary market look like on those? Because I know I don't own one, but I've been able to handle one, and it's a pretty good knife. Like as a knife, it's well done.
Yeah.
That
was never the criticism of Survive.
Is there still a secondary market for those, for the ones that are around, or like what do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if there is, but I bet you eBay could tell us. Let's go to eBay. Let's see what a Survive knife, if a Survive knife is even available. I bought my Survive knife at a brick and mortar store. I guess it's knife, Survive knife. The problem is when you
a plug
Google
for my favorite knife sticker.
What's that?
Smoky Mountain Knife Works gingerbread man with a dagger.
Okay. Here we go. Rare Survive knives, first production, GSO 4.1 CPM 3V steel. New, brand new. $3.99 or best offer. So, who knows? Yeah, who knows?
Because here's the thing, man, and if we're gonna be honest with ourselves as grown-up human beings, we don't need the knives that we're buying now. All three of us own more knives than we could possibly need in our lifetime. Probably 5 times over, for actual use, right? Doug is carrying more knives in his pants than most people own, right? So, and that's a compliment, by the way.
Is that what that is?
So like when we're talking about going to Blade Show and buying a knife, I'm not buying a
Got a
knife
knife?
because I need a knife, right? You know, like Gary and I joke sometimes about certain cars being lifestyle vehicles, right? I think most of these knives fill the same niche as a lifestyle vehicle, right? Like, you know, in for most intents and purposes, me buying a Magnum Max kitchen knife is the equivalent of me buying, you know, a lifted Jeep Gladiator. Like, there's no real purpose in my life for it, but it makes me smile to own it, right? I don't own a lifted Jeep Gladiator. But, you know, if somebody gave one to me, I'd drive it around. Um, so, like, when I'm talking about buying this stuff, like, that's why I'm drawn to Spyderco because you know, I'm connected to that story, right? The when I hear the stories about, you know, Gail and Sal in the bread truck and towing the VW behind them as a trailer with all the stuff in it, and you know, being at state fairs and you know, getting to see all the things they've done over the years, that connects me to something, and I like that, right? So like that's a company I want to give my money to because owning an object from that company makes me feel good. It makes me happy. It gives me a little bit of joy, right?
Well, that
Will
comes
a
down to
used Bark River do that?
that comes down to a knife is a story. When you're selling knives, you're selling a story. The
Yeah.
story of the company, the story of the model, the story of the manufacturing, all of that. So I just looked up Survive on eBay, and what I found is interesting. They are going for between, I would say, on average, about $300 to $600. The bigger ones being the more expensive ones. Um, More like 4 to 6. I would say like $400 to $600. I see one went for 350, but most of them went for more. And just as an interesting comparison, there was an architect's knife, which I think is probably nearly as good. And the architect knife went for 129. These are completed listings. So the story for Survive is kind of lousy, but it's a story. It is a story. And I'm going to guess that Bark River is going to be not the famous knife, but the infamous knife moving forward in the collector. Do you have a good one? Do you have a bad one? Is it the steel that it says it is? You know, all this kind of stuff. There's a little intrigue. There's a little cloak and dagger. Like, is it what it says it is? So, yeah. But that's my take. You know, that's my take on it. And, you know, Mike is a pretty old dude at this point. I don't think his health is the best. He definitely made some grievous errors. But here's my biggest, and I was starting to get to this point. How do you sell 40,000 give or take knives, 40, 60, 30, whatever it happens to be, and not keep the lights on? Like, how do you do that? And with the number of knives that they were moving a day, and that is what really kind of scares me. Like, you can move that many knives and still not be solvent. Like, that's what scares me about the knife business. Because, like, was that and I don't want to jump to any conclusions or make some kind of conspiracy theories, but was that money going somewhere else? Was that getting siphoned off? Was there any sort of embezzlement? Was like, because to me, when I do the math, well, let's just do a little math, right? So what did the average Bark River knife cost retail? You know, what these days? What were they, about $300 for an average one? 275?
I'd say
275.
300 because some of them were up in the $500-600 range, like with the
All right.
mosaic pins and stuff like that.
All right, so let's say $300. So that means dealers were getting them for 70% of that, give or take. So we're talking $210 per knife. And let's say that let's use 40,000 because that's the figure I heard the most. 40,000. That's $8.4 million. It's $8.4 million. And, like, I know they had a pretty beefy payroll with 50 people, but I mean, it seems like you should be able to move the pieces on the chessboard around such with that kind of operation that you can make it solvent and see problems coming. But, I know that there were, for many years, there were financial problems. And yeah, and I don't know why. He himself said mismanagement. Tactical Center. I don't know what their lifestyle was. I don't know what the lifestyle was. I was going to say something that I'm not going to say about teeth, but they didn't seem like on the face to be living high on the hog. It did not seem that, but maybe they were. Maybe they have a mansion. Maybe they're zillionaires. I don't know. Maybe they just pumped it for all the money that it could have. I mean, man, even with my own company as it is, it is capitally intensive to make knives. Like, until you really get the snowball rolling down the hill. Like, I'll just give you a little bit of insight into Creely Blades and kind of like one model. Let's take a model like the medium. So on one sheet of steel, I'll get maybe, let's say, 70 mediums out of a sheet of CPM steel. I just priced some Magnamax today, and Magnamax is $1,400 a sheet. I need to run about a minimum. Of 300 blades through the grinding process. So if I'm getting, let's say, conservatively 60 per sheet, and so I need to do 300. So I got to buy 5 sheets, and the sheets are $1,400 each. So I'm $7,000 in steel to do the bare minimum run of that blade for the grinding part. Now there's heat treating. I got to cut them out. It'll take a while to cut that many blades out in my shop. If I had to pay for them, they'd be $5-6 a piece to cut them out, so on and so forth. So you end up, just for one model, doing one run. I figured out, depending on the model, it's between a $25,000 and $35,000 investment just to do one run. And that's before you sold one knife. And so, even if you sell them all out for a period of time, you have $25,000 rolled up in a model. And when you start getting low, you need to re-up that $25,000. This is what I'm finding out now. Like, we did MagnaCut Makos. And we're almost out of them. They've been really popular. It's the Aerosteel MagnaCut. By the way, they do say CPM MagnaCut. The Aerosteel MagnaCut will still say CPM MagnaCut because they bought the CPM trademark. So I called them up today. I called Niagara up and said, hey, like, all these sheets I got say CPM MagnaCut. Is this from Aerosteel or is this from Crucible? They're like, no, it's from Aerosteel. We don't really have much of the Crucible CPM around. Maybe an odd cutoff here and there, but so even though that all said CPM MagnaCut in a heat number, it was all from Aerosteel. So, but I was confused, and they explained that to me.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows all those dots. So for anybody listening at home, when we open those 4 sheets of MagnaCut, they arrive packed in cardboard. When we cut the cardboard off, they were all marked CPM MagnaCut, which was very surprising because we were expecting Aerosteel MagnaCut. So we had to kind of figure out what was going on there. Doug, with this echo thing, I'm going to try to mute myself, and maybe we can get your opinion on this Bark River thing. If I'm muted, maybe that'll cancel out the echo.
We could try. Is that sounding okay to everybody? Okay, we got some thumbs up. So, Bark River, man, for a really long time, they made what seemed like a really nice product. They were producing a lot of different designs, a lot of similarities in the designs, but each one a little different. And, for me, I was mostly introduced to them through Virtual Vice and then DBK later on through the YouTube channel. And even the most recent video that I saw coming from DBK, they talked about some of the things we're talking about here. And, it's a shame that this happened. And I'm not sure, was Mike Stewart involved in blackjack knives back in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah, that went great.
So there was some turmoil at the end there also. And I mean, he built that company up, and then he built this company up. And I can't imagine the amount of work that it's taken, but it's such a shame to see it slip away at the end. And we're having lots of videos like this going on. So my take is I have one Bark River knife, and I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
It's an era of production that, you just can't get back. So I think it's worth keeping.
Yeah, I'm going to keep mine. I didn't ever really use it for anything, but here's my one Bark River.
And it's a Murray Carter pattern.
Well, not according to Mike Stewart.
Well,
now Doug, that is quite a thing to say, Doug, that a Murray Carter knife, that they were related. Now, how could that be? You're saying those look alike?
Well, I see a lot more jimping on the Bark River version.
Yes, I hear that's really good for like a stress riser.
Yeah, I have a copy of 101 Knife Designs by Murray Carter and have made quite a few of the original pattern and some of the others. That the DNA is there, regardless of what's said. The DNA is there.
It's obviously that knife pattern, which I don't get why you wouldn't admit it when Murray Carter opened that design up to everybody. Like, right. It's one of those things like you're lying when you don't need to lie. Like, it's fine.
Well, it's interesting that it's the Murray Carter pattern shape. The type of manufacturing was vastly different.
Well, sure.
Stock removal on the Bark River version and forging under a power hammer for the Murray Carter version, sending out in big batches for heat treating with the Bark River version, and then the individual water quench of the Murray Carter patterns. So yeah, I would be curious if you ever put them to task. Which one? What blade steel is your Bark River labeled?
LMAX.
LMAX. So that is certainly robust enough for that style of knife.
Oh, sure. And this Murray Carter is a Sanmai of some nature. It's like a white steel on the edge and like mild stainless on the outside. And this is a Murray Carter. Like, he made it. It's not Muteki or one of those. And yeah, this is a really cool knife too. I like it a lot. And again, it's not really a user, but it's, as a knife maker, like, an authentic Murray Carter is something to have in your collection to sort of reference, both from a fit and finish and all that. It's well done. It's really nice. I'm not a big forging guy. It's a tapered tang. It's a bone handle. It's not dramatically tapered, but it is tapered. It is tapered some. But yeah. And Murray Carter's not making knives anymore, but he went out in seems like he sold his deal to a family. Saw a video.
Of logging. I think they're a logging family before they bought the Muteki brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Stewart was actually telling the story. Yeah, he was telling the story all right. But so he was in Blackjack Knives in Effingham, Illinois. He was Effingham all right. Sorry.
I think he owned the marbles trademark for a little while too.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. If you guys remember, what was that guy's name? Cliff Stamp. I think he's passed away. But Cliff Stamp, I remember he commented on a Bark River video, where they were doing the slack belt thing and just, lots of sparks running, and you knew they were getting hot. You could see it getting a little bit blue. And they would put it in the water, be like, and take it out. So like all signs that you're getting the blade too hot. And I remember, Mike Stewart's like, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. Like it's a back and forth. That was in the Blade Forum days. I think that was a Blade Forum exchange. I think Mike was pretty active in Blade Forums back when Blade Forums was pretty active. And so, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting stuff. So Blade Show coming up in about a month. And probably what I'd like to do, what I hope to do, is perhaps on the way down to Blade Show, do a podcast and or a stream, because we'll have some time to kill, and it might be interesting to have a conversation at that point, talk a little bit about what we're bringing down, and get ready for the craziness that is Blade Show.
We can live stream from your favorite barbecue restaurant.
Oh yes. Paul almost pooped his pants last year. We went to we should look up what that barbecue place was in Virginia. I don't even know where in Virginia it was.
I might have taken a picture.
I think it would be interesting.
Can I also there's a glaring omission in where I want to go at Blade, right?
Oh.
And this is breaking news. I have a knife that neither of you know that I have. Right? I turned off my mirroring effect. Can you read that?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I ordered a very good knife company. This is a Tradition Junior.
Okay.
So I know my lighting is not the best here.
It's Nessmuck?
Kind of.
It's more of a belt knife, Canadian belt knife shape.
Yeah, I would say Canadian belt knife-esque. It's called the Tradition, so I'm guessing that's what it's going for. Man, he knocked it out of the park with this. It's finished really well. The Kydex is awesome. The ramp, the push-off fits great. There's no wiggle in the sheath. No notes, man. This is really beautifully done. The way he ground the ricasso, he's got this little 45-degree angle there. I don't know if you can see that. So right there, he's got that 45-degree angle. This is messing me up because I turned the mirroring effect off so you could see that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way, for me, that area of the knife is the hardest to work on as I'm trying to learn how to be a knife maker. And he did a really, really good job with this. I mean, that is super clean, nice even grind. Yeah. So I would like to, I got to meet him last year but I did not buy one of his knives because I met him towards the end of the show. I believe his name's Jacob. But I am excited to see his booth, and I think I would like to spend money with him. He just does really good work.
Yeah, he's an interesting company. He would be. Now, here's the interesting thing about the knife world. He would be a direct competitor with us. Like, we're doing in fact, so much so, he also has an X-Tool metal fab to cut his blades out. So very similar in a lot of ways. But in the knife world, unlike maybe some other industries, look, it's raising a rising tide raises all ships. Like, yeah, it's competition, but at the same time, we both know we'll have some of the same customers, and they're not going to buy just one knife. So, so it's a very friendly, generally very friendly atmosphere in the knife world. Sometimes it's not. We've certainly had those examples, but occasionally, for the most part, though, it's very positive, and you have to bring that the next time you're here so we can take a look at it.
Yeah, I think, using that word competitor, I think it's a little bit different in this industry than some others, right? Like, there are enough knife collectors that having a bunch of good knife makers is not a bad thing for any of us because it supports the industry as a whole. I think that there's plenty of room. Like, for instance, he's kind of a direct competitor, but like, this is ADCRV2. He's not really working. He's doing Nitro V. I think he's done AEBL. He's not really doing anything on the exotic end steel wise, like what we do. So,
and he's hand grinding them. And if he was hand grinding Magnamax and MagnaCut and S90 and 3V at 64, he'd be not too excited about that.
No, but he's got the skill for it. He showed me some of the one-off stuff that he made before he started Very Good Knife Company. Some exotic handle materials and things like that. He's got the skill. I think it's kind of like us. It's like trying to grow in a healthy way is a really tricky thing for a business, because like, I kind of understand maybe some of the mess Mike Stewart got into, because like, it's like, well, we could just take a loan and then we could buy a bunch of steel and sell a bunch of knives, but then you're servicing that loan, and I got to sell more knives to pay for the loan payment. And I can see how you can really quickly get caught in a spiral there. And when you add into the fact that, a lot of people probably don't know this, but like, nobody at Creely Blades is full time. We all have other jobs. And so if you're Mike Stewart and you've got 40 people on the payroll and you've got a building, most of pretty much everything Creely Blades is done in someone's garage, right, or basement. So it's just, I could see how you could get out over your skis. And then it's like gambling, right? Like it's like you lose money, so you go to the ATM machine. Well, I'm going to try to win it back, and that hole gets deeper and deeper. And like when you what Jason from DLT, like in his video, like, well, just can you order some knives ahead of time? Like, can you just pay me for the knives and I'll deliver them later? Or like, I'm having trouble getting steel. Can you order some steel for me? Like, I could see how that could happen. Especially if you're trying to feed your family and trying to make payroll and trying to keep your business afloat. I could see that. And I'm glad that, Creely Blades is being a little safer in how that happens, because I think it's going to give the company longevity. But yeah, I could definitely see how that happened. And I don't envy him. I don't envy him.
They've been at it long enough, though, for it to happen this far down the road.
Yeah, but it might not be something that happened at this point. It could be something that has been happening since the very beginning, right? If you look at the stuff we know about Mike Stewart, right? He had this fraud conviction. He had a previous failed business. It's not going to be easy for him to get credit, right? So let's say he does buy the new building on credit, which you kind of have to do, right? He's already starting out in the hole. I would suspect that he was never not in the hole. I think he was probably underwater with debt from the very beginning. And they just made knives that were good enough that they were able to keep that going for a while.
Yeah.
This is pure speculation, by the way. Pure speculation. And
it's a shame because they had, I was just talking about this with a different situation in church, but a lot of times in life, I think of things in the context of a chess match. And they had plenty enough pieces on the board that could have been moved around in such a way. Like they had runway and they had pieces on the board and that could have been corrected, but it's a shame it's not. But even just myself, I was looking at properties. I'd like to get a dedicated shop that's not, my detached garage, which is almost a dedicated shop, but it's not, and it's not mine. So, the idea of getting a dedicated shop, but man, just like that, thousands of dollars of new overhead. And so, that's the part. And am I going to be able to get more production out of that investment? Like what's the return on investment? And so that's the conversation. That's the thought. So, the idea of just sort of riding it the way it is until, it is really necessary. And so we're getting there. We got a lot of knives in process. We got a lot of sheets of steel. I got 2 more sheets of steel coming. And so, 2 more sheets of Magnamax, which will be, I think, Makos. If I run out of Magnamax minnows, I think I'm going to let that just happen because the Mako is a more popular size, and I think more people want that. And so if you want to try Magnamax, try it in a Mako. The reason I ran the minnows first was because I can get like 150 of them on a sheet, and I was very limited in the number of sheets that I could get because these were like prototype sheets. These weren't like, hey, tell me how many you want. They're like, these are for testing. These are for now. May 1st, you'll be able to order more. I was talking to the Niagara today, and I was just like, I think you guys are going to get walloped. Like, I think when that site opens up, like the floodgates are going to come because, will they be scanning when you do the Makos and Magnamax? No. The Magnamax Makos that are coming will be the PG series, so they'll be ground exactly like the Magna Cut, exactly like the LC200, exactly like all the other Makos. They'll be full flat grinds with thin. And the Scandi ones I just had a little bit of steel. So we actually had Magnamax last year. So, but we Scandi ground some Makos and just to get them done for the show. So this year, we should have the standard ones. They'll fit in the Kydex price-wise. So a Magna Cut Mako is $210. The Magna Max Mako will be $235. So it'll be a $25 premium because it's out. The steel is expensive. It definitely is expensive. What the Proto versus the new Magnamax with less carbon and more chromium. I think I'm not sure that I ever had the original Magnamax because of the heat treat response. I have to recheck the Scandi ground ones. Maybe those were the original. I did not have much of that very original. I think the majority of Magnamax I've gotten, and it's been several different sheets now, I think they've all been Aerosteel. And so they actually heat treat a little less hard than Magna Cut with the same protocol. So yeah, but really good edge retention. Really good edge retention. So I can't say too much about the differential. But the Aerosteel stuff, I think, again, referencing my conversation with Niagara, we hate to admit it because I'm only 3 hours from Syracuse. That's where CPM was based, and I'm only 35 minutes from Carpenter. So obviously, I want the U.S. companies to have the superior steel, but I can't be honest and say like the Aerosteel MagnaCut seems like a better steel. It seems cleaner. It seems more consistent. Less inclusions. Like I haven't found any inclusions in any of it. It's hardening harder. I'm getting 63 or 64 out of it pretty easily. It seems really good. And I trust it. So I'm, yeah. So to long answer, I don't have enough information. But less carbon will equal more corrosion resistance. Less carbon will equal more toughness. And if you're still getting, I'm getting 6. Actually, the last batch I did get 63, 64 out of the Magna Max, so I'm plenty happy with that. That's going to be a killer steel. Like I think it's what everybody thinks MagnaCut is. It's a high edge retaining steel like S90V. So I think it'll be noticeable. If you have a knife in MagnaCut and you have a knife in Magnamax and you're doing some kind of task that is like really wears the edge a lot, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to notice the difference. So
I have noticed a difference.
Oh, have you? Yeah. What have you noticed?
Well, between the minnow that I have in MagnaCut, which was an early minnow, and the Magnamax minnow that I have right now, it is a remarkable difference, edge holding wise.
Interesting. Yeah, Jovan has one in Magnamax and MagnaCut, but he only opens cat food, so he said in that he couldn't tell the difference because he hasn't worn out the edge yet. So, yeah, so that's interesting to hear. Well, I think we've come to the end of our time here, and but I don't know if there's anything else that you guys want to add. I do have a special treat at the end, and so I think you're going to enjoy that. But did you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
I'm hoping to bring a couple of neck knives to Blade Show.
Nice. Have you ground any of those out besides the one at the house?
No, just this one with the modified profile. They're going to be more of a Warncliffe design, but a little bit like a skeletonized R2D2-esque placement, and they're going to be in Magnamax. So I'm hoping to have those for Blade Show this year.
Very cool. Yeah, no, that's going to be very cool. I look forward to that. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And what I'm going to leave us with tonight is a very meaningful and a deeply thought through song. It is a rap song, and it is an AI rap song. I think it is absolutely hilarious. Actually, I sent it to Laren. Laren liked it, although you get a sense of Laren's sense of humor from his last video on Magnamax. But it's called The City of Iron. It's called The City of Iron, and we're gonna get it started here. And I think you're gonna like it.
Magna Cut logic, the crucible's heavy. 70 HRC, keep the edge steady. Creely in the lab where the ghosts get leery. Geometry precise, never looking weary. Geometry precise, never looking weary. We don't do the fluff, we don't do the fakes. Paul got the hands dug, raising the stakes. From the bench to the belt, every spark is a Vicks. From the bench to the belt, every spark is a vision. Technical prowess, surgical precision. High performance grit, 3V in the vein. Cutting through the static in the market-driven pain. A masterclass in heat where the atoms align. Grinding out the gold, leaving mediocrity behind. East Coast heart with the thermal cycle soul, taking all the iron. East Coast heart with the thermal cycle soul, taking all the iron, turning it into control. No shortcuts taken, no corners get rounded. On the foundation of fire, the legacy is founded. Creely Blades, we define the sharp truth. Paul and Doug, the wisdom and the youth. Magna Cut, 3V, the steel don't lie. HRC high, reach for the sky. We hypnotize the high, reach for the sky. We hypnotize the forge, we master the grade. In the city of iron, the legend is made. Creely Blades, we define the sharp truth. Leaving all the clones stuck in the booth. Rex 121, that's a different vibration. High speed precision for the whole generation. Powder metatravary, particles small. Creely Blades stand while the rest of them fall. Doug at the wheel, grinding down the dream. Paul got the vision, best in the scheme. We don't talk much, the blades do the speaking. While your favorite customs are constantly leaking. HRC checks, every millimeter counts. The pressure is rising, the momentum amounts. 3V toughness, the spine never bends. From the start of the fire to where the grind ends. No mass production, no silicon soul. No mass production, no silicon soul. Just the heat of the fire and a total control. Magna Cut magic, the science is deep. While the rest of the industry is falling asleep. You know the pedigree. Creely Blades, we out. HRC 70.